I dashed through the trees, heading towards my destination with movements as light and graceful as an acrobat's. Oh, the map's saying there are enemies ahead. Eiffel had confirmed the locations of the enemy with Farsight, then Kelvin had immediately added the information to the map. I adjusted my direction accordingly, making a beeline straight for them. I'm about to arrive. How about you two? I'm almost there. You're already fighting, Melfina? Sarah's exclamation prompted me to take a second look at the map. Sure enough, Melfina's marker was smack dab in the middle of a whole bunch of red dots. I arrived first. Started without you. Arg. Leave some for me too. Can't make any promises. Judging from her voice, Sarah seemed to be feeling quite frustrated about having been outdone. Sarah's been getting a bit competitive with her lately. I wonder why. Alex, if we do a good job again, Kelny should acknowledge us even more. Let's do our best. Arf. Alex replied energetically from my side. Thanks to his unique skill, shadow travel, my partner was capable of staying inside of and freely traveling between shadows, and was currently hiding in mine. Seeing as he likes staying within my shadow for long periods of time, maybe it's actually comfortable in there. Between Alex and me, I was the one with the higher agility stat. That was why I was effectively carrying him all the way to the battlefield. Although Melfina still beat me there. Ryan, according to Kelvin's information, the monsters are apparently rank B. You should be fine with your current strength, but be careful, okay? Sarah's right. I'm not singling you out, but those who are halfway between beginner and veteran have the highest tendency to overestimate their own capabilities and end up getting into trouble. Don't worry, Sarah nay, Mel nay. I got this. Trust me. Having other people worry about me does make me happy, but I wish they'd stop treating me like a child. Eiffel is only 2 years older, and they don't do it to her. That said, I do lose hands down in the boobs department. No, this won't do. I'm getting depressed all by myself for a silly reason. That's right, boob size alone doesn't determine a girl's worth. I'm sure Kelvin is smarter than that. What's more, I'm still going through a growth spurt, I'm drinking my milk every day, and my current lifestyle is far healthier than that of my previous life. So I still have a chance. Alright, I've managed to bring my thoughts back under control. Grr. Yep, we're almost there. They should be coming into sight any moment now. Alex had already entered a battle-ready stance. I should focus on what I'm doing now too. When I listened carefully, I caught some sounds coming from the front of the otherwise silent forest. I picked up my speed a bit more and cleared the rest of the distance like a gust of wind. Suddenly, my view opened up, and I found myself confronted by a huge crowd of monsters. Nellis had said there were generally only giants, but I saw much more variety here, including big lizards and walking trees. There were human voices coming from all the way in the back as well, but I couldn't see them from where I was. Strewn about the ground here and there were giant birds and bats that had most likely been dispatched by Sarah's handiwork. The skies were completely clear, which meant that she had probably taken care of all the flying monsters. Strangely enough, I also saw some creatures fighting amongst each other, even though they were supposed to be on the same side. Did they have a falling out? The monsters you see rampaging around are the ones that used to be controlled by the tamers who are now dead. Oh, hi, Mel nay. There was my big sister, leisurely walking out from the fray with her awe-inspiring spear in one hand and her blue armor glinting beautifully in the moonlight. Despite having been fighting for quite a while, there wasn't a speck of blood or dust on her. However, there was a guy dangling from the tip of her spear. Who's that? Is he a stray? This guy? Melfina lifted her spear higher to give me a better view. Oh, look, the mysterious guy is being strangled. He is the commander of this group. I think I heard his subordinates call him Colonel, so I went ahead and nabbed him first. What? Already? When I took a better look, I realized the man was indeed wearing rather high-quality clothing. He looks pretty limp, though. Is he all right? Arrrrggh. You beat me to it. A loud telepathic cry emanated from farther ahead on the battlefield. Apparently, Sarah had also arrived before me. That was Sarah, wasn't it? It's my win this time, said Melfina with a smug expression. I had only ever seen her make that face while gorging herself on Ephile's food. Maybe Sarah's rivalry with her wasn't entirely one-sided after all. Ah, I was late to the party. Even though I pushed myself pretty hard to get here quickly. Sarah's gone to finish off the stragglers. What do you feel like doing now? I haven't done anything yet. I'll go help Sarah, I suppose. Then let's go together. I wouldn't be able to stop worrying other W. Gosh. Stop treating me like a child. And what are you going to do with that guy? Wouldn't he get in the way, dangling from her spear like that? Give me a second, Melfina replied before switching over to the network. Honey, I've captured the target. Please summon Clotho for me. You got it. Abruptly, a small magic circle appeared before us, and out popped a small slime. Oh, hi there, Clotho, I said with a small wave. That clone will bring the target to my location. I'm able to summon the Clotho clones anywhere at any time, so just let me know what you need. Thank you, honey. Melfina dumped the man onto the slime, which promptly sprouted tentacles to secure him and bounced off towards the village. That's that. Shall we get going? It seems like there's another force approaching on the heels of this one. Melne, could you leave at least a little bit for me to do? Just when am I going to be able to catch up with my sisters? Where are the regular reports? Did something happen? Lieutenant General Ulford of the Mixed Monster Order had, from his position within the main force, dispatched his slaves for scouting. They were supposed to report back periodically to let him know what was going on in the battle, but he had yet to see a single one of them return, despite having waited for quite a while. Additionally, there was no word from the two colonels that he had sent ahead, either. Normally, they would have shuttled messengers back and forth, riding fast monsters to maintain continuous contact. Report. Report. Finally. A soldier appeared from the darkness of the forest ahead. He must have been in quite a rush, seeing as he had almost ridden his mount to death. Ulford shook his head with disapproval at the sight. Lieutenant General, terrible news. Calm down. What, did the Beast King show up? It wasn't gone. Enemies showed up before we even reached the village of the elves. Regiment 4 has been annihilated, and Colonel Kazina has been captured. What? If not gone, where is the enemy army from? Chirai? Daramus? Sir, it's not an army but a party of adventurers. We've confirmed 3 females and 1 shadow wolf, affiliations unknown. All of them are so powerful that our rank B monsters can't do a thing against them. Furthermore, undetectable attacks that seem like arrows are continuously raining from above, making it impossible to advance. What the hell? It's only a few people? Ulford's mind raced. This expeditionary force was formed to counter the Beast King, and yet we're being decimated in a matter of minutes? Did we underestimate things, or are these adventurers that much stronger than the ruler of Gon? Lieutenant General. Colonel Dill's 5th Regiment is continuing to engage the enemy, but it's only a matter of time before their formation collapses. Please give us your orders. Shit. All right, it's time for you to get a move on, Gigant Lord. Get your lazy ass up. The humongous figure that had been kneeling behind Ulford slowly rose. At its full height, it towered far above the canopy of trees. So, this is the secret weapon I've heard so much about. Doesn't matter who these adventurers are, there's no winning against a rank S monster. Bring Gigant Lord back to the front with you and tell Dill to restructure his formation with this thing at the center and the other monsters as backup. You, are you listening? Of all things, the soldier was suddenly looking off in another direction. Seeing that, Ulford couldn't help but snap at him. But the man didn't seem to have heard a word. Instead, he lifted a trembling hand and pointed. Lieutenant General. Foreboding welled up like a geyser inside of Ulford. No way, that can't be. It's too fast. And this is the 2nd Regiment. It's our main force. Yet although his mind was in complete denial, he could not help but look. Dear oh dear, I seem to have already broken through to the other side of the force. Oh well, I'm sure Sarah will take care of the rest. Look, look. That giant's so big, Mel nay. It's like something straight out of a manga. There before Ulford's eyes were 2 girls who bore the air of a pair of sisters out for a stroll through town. You've got to be shitting me. They really are just girls. Ulford's bewilderment was quite understandable. After all, Ryan was nearly a child, and even Melfina looked well under 20. Going by appearances alone, neither of them seemed capable of obliterating Trison's famed mixed monster order. SS spare me, the messenger stuttered. He had fallen into such a fear upon seeing the girls that Ulford couldn't help but wonder what he had actually witnessed in the forest. Thank you for guiding us here, Melfina said with an angelic smile. It saved us the effort of having to look around ourselves. Mel nay, you're so smart. Following him was the right choice after all. You purposely let him go and tailed him? The monster that the messenger had just about ridden to death was a ground bird, a creature that, in exchange for having retrogressed wings incapable of flight, could run faster than the swiftest horse. The fact that the girls had the agility to track a ground bird being pushed beyond its limits like it was nothing led Ulford to throw away any hesitation or preconceptions. Gigant Lord, fight them like you're taking revenge for your kin. Don't let your guard down for a second. The Lieutenant General whipped the monster to rile it up. Sure enough, it roared in blind rage and charged forward, each stomp of its foot causing the earth to shake. The closer it gets, the bigger it looks. It's almost as tall as the walls that Kelni makes, isn't it? Melfina brought a hand to her chin, indicating that she was thinking about something. We could just fight it, but... We're not going to fight it? Ryan asked in puzzlement, her sword already drawn. Melfina narrowed her eyes slightly, then switched to communicating through the network. Ryan, try to defeat this monster with Alex alone. What, really? The opponents that you've fought so far haven't been enough to push you to your limits. Being able to win against those weaker than you doesn't mean anything and doesn't help you to grow. You want to be recognized by your brother as a true adventurer, don't you? Well, I do. By defeating this monster, you'll be proving that you're able to stand on your own. As for treating you like a child, I'll do my best to tone it down. So, you're not going to stop entirely? In spite of how they treated her, the members of Kelvin's party did understand how strong Ryan was. They were, however, worried about whether or not she could tap into all that strength in the heat of the moment. Part of those misgivings were likely due to her being seen as part of the little sister group, along with Ruka. This tendency was true of all their acquaintances, but especially more so among the core party members. That monster is most likely rank S. You think you can do it? I do. I won't let all that sword training from Gramps and the magic training I've been receiving from Kelni these past few days go to waste. As a hero, Ryan was indeed far more powerful than her level would indicate. In addition to the extra stats from level-ups, she possessed the same nerves of steel skill that Kelvin himself had, which granted her the mental fortitude to remain calm in all situations, with the sole exception being when her physical attributes were commented on, and deal with things in a cool-headed manner. Above all, she had a burning desire to protect her newfound family. This simple and straightforward reason had gotten her through all the tough training that her mentors had thrown her way. I know how hard you've been working. Don't worry, if you're able to use everything that you've learned so far, you'll certainly win. Melfina's quiet voice was reassuring. The fact that this sister of hers, who Ryan respected as much as she did Kelvin, placed so much faith in her helped to dispel any last shred of hesitation that had been in the younger girl's heart. Thank you. Well then, here goes. A beat after the giant had started its charge, Ryan dashed forward. Ulford could hardly believe his eyes. Only one of them? These fucking bitches are looking down on us. He could hardly be faulted for his disbelief, as all he saw was a single teenage girl wearing light armor attempting to take on a rank S monster by herself. The sword in her hand did look very well tempered, but it could only be rank B at best. It might have been sufficient for what she had faced so far, but Gigant Lord had skin even harder than steel. The instant her sword lands, the blade is going to snap clean off. Curse your own recklessness once your beloved weapon is destroyed. Ulford whipped the giant again. With a loud roar, it changed direction to make a beeline for Ryan. Its grey body shot forward like a bullet, reaching speeds that one could hardly imagine from such a hulking figure. Go, Gigant Lord. Here I go, the girl called back before abruptly vanishing from sight. Ulford's eyes widened with shock. What the hell? Where'd she go? He couldn't have known that by this point, Ryan's agility stat had already surpassed that of Sarah and Melfina. However, her stamina was still limited, so she would usually only utilize a portion of that speed in order to pace herself. For this battle, however, her key to victory lay in a swift resolution. As such, she had pushed herself to her maximum speed in the blink of an eye. Even so, Gigant Lord was capable of following her movements. Without slowing down, the monster unleashed a punch to the front and slightly to the right, precisely where Ryan was positioned. The instant its fist made contact with the ground, a massive crater appeared, with the nearby trees collapsing in a wave of crumbling dirt. The scale of the damage was like night and day compared to what Miyabi's rank a Grave Death Ogre could do. If anyone was to fly up into the sky and glance down, it would look as if a bald spot had suddenly appeared within the sea of green. Phew, that's quite a powerful attack. What? Why you dodged that? When Ulford saw Ryan after her exclamation of wonder, he couldn't believe his eyes. Not only had the girl dodged Gigant Lord's attack, but she had even gotten onto its outstretched arm and climbed up to its shoulder. Alex. A wolf leapt out from her shadow. The hour was late, and there was an abundance of shadows everywhere thanks to the dimly glowing moon. The beast attacked with his sharp claws and teeth, and the giant attempted to fight back by slapping its own body with its palms. But it was to no avail, as its assailant had little trouble dodging by simply diving into a different shadow each time. Slash! 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 Ah, it's not very deep, Ryan noted internally, seeing as Alex had not yet managed to draw blood. The skin is thicker than expected. In that case. Taking advantage of the giant's occupation with the wolf, Ryan clambered up to its head in the blink of an eye. She lifted her sword high and brought it down onto the monster's skull with all her might. Crack! The blade snapped off. Just as Ulford had predicted, the durability of the weapon had been insufficient. This sword, which had been named Strengthened Mithril Sword, was the very blade that Kelvin had once seized from Cashel and then retempered. Clearly, it hadn't been the best choice against Gigant Lord. Ryan's attack prompted the giant to shift its focus onto her. Ha! Now you're screwed, bitch, screamed Ulford. Why yeah, get her. The sight of Ryan's sword breaking had prompted the lieutenant general and his subordinate to let out cheers. Melfina looked at them with pitying eyes. These two have become so preoccupied with the fight that they've completely forgotten about me, haven't they? While Ryan is taking care of the giant, you two have let your guards down entirely. I can just, no, never mind. It won't be conducive to her education if I do it for her. The two men had yet to notice the huge wall of ice that now stood behind them. Melfina had erected it secretly just in case they ran, but she was starting to think it had been a wasted effort. Anyway, whoever said that Ryan has only one sword? The hero continued to dodge Gigant Lord's attacks, both of her hands now free thanks to the loss of her sword. At times, she would use Skywalk to change her trajectory in midair. On other occasions, she would climb right across the monster's body. Alex also got in his own attacks whenever he saw an opening, but the giant ignored the wolf completely, having determined it to be unworthy of its attention. At this rate, things are going to get bad, Ryan thought. If I take a single hit, that'll be the end of me. I'm so glad I listened to Kelvin's advice to pick up Nerves of Steel. Alex, Clotho, match my timing. A tiny Clotho clone popped out from beneath her armguard. Then it spat out 3 swords from storage. 2 towards Ryan's hands, and 1 at the last shadow that Alex had jumped into. Awoo! Alex howled, leaping out of the darkness. He caught the sword in his mouth in midair, then landed on the giant's left arm. All 3 blades were emanating highly unusual auras. Dual wield? But that's a skill only heroes can possess. Really? I saw it listed in the skills tab like any other skill, so I didn't give it much thought. And we're not dual wielding. Ryan and Alex both struck a pose with their swords. Human-wolf union, triple wield. Thunderclap edge. As Melfina nodded approvingly at the sight with a satisfied smile on her face, there was suddenly a blinding flash of light and a roaring sound like the crashing of thunder. It was so unexpected that Ulford and his subordinate immediately cowered, inadvertently covering their faces. The giant was also forced to close its eyes for a moment. The cause of the sudden chaos had been Thunderclap Edge, a rank A red magic spell that Ryan had come up with while referencing Kelvin's Vortex Edge. What she had achieved was the harnessing of the frightening power of nature itself in the form of a blade. It had been the sword in her right hand, Demon Sword Caladbolg, that Ryan had enchanted with the spell. A closer look would reveal that there were tiny flickers of lightning licking across every inch of the metal. We're about to get serious now, Mr. Giant. She once again disappeared. This time, both Ulford and the giant, having closed its eyes, lost sight of her. The only one present who could tell where she'd gone was Melfina. Ryan pushed herself to move as fast as she could, once again running up Gigant Lord's arm in a flash. But this time she had plunged a sword deep into the monster's skin and was dragging the weapon along with her as she ran, cutting the flesh wide open as she moved. The skin, which seemed as hard as an iron wall mere moments before, parted like a chopstick cutting through tofu. Vestigial sparks of lightning ran from the wound, and the air was filled with the dreadful smell of burning flesh. Demon Sword Caladbolg had been enchanted with the amplification of lightning. The sword was capable of emitting electricity on its own, but its destructive power would increase with the use of magic. And when the magic imbuing it was lightning magic, that increase would be bolstered exponentially. Ruah-arrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr wearing a natural full-body suit of armor for its entire life, this was the first time it had ever suffered an injury, much less one so severe. As soon as she reached the top of the creature's head, Ryan showered it with attacks. It was a repeat of the scene with the strengthened mithril sword, but this time performed with two swords of overwhelmingly higher rank. The slashes, which were made faster than the eye could see, quickly stained the monster's face red. During this time, Alex had been attacking from the giant's blind spots with the sword in its teeth. Every once in a while, the purple blade reflected the light of the moon and glinted with a terrible beauty. Like a phantom, the shadow wolf appeared and disappeared here and there, leaving cuts all over the humongous body of its foe. With each slice, the weapon took more and more of the giant's blood with it. Alex's sword, which had the same sharpness as demon sword Kaladbalg, was called Lethal Opiate Sword. Belying its alluring appearance, it possessed a truly ghastly ability. With one slice, it would rob the victim of their sense of taste. With the second slice, the target's sense of smell would be gone. From there followed the loss of sight, hearing, and finally, touch. This ability was devastatingly effective against not only humans but also large monsters with high endurance and significant HP pools. Gigant Lord had already received more than 5 slashes. In other words, it was now without any of its senses. Ryan and Alex were carefully observing the beast's movements and attacking with perfect coordination. To the untrained eye, it might have looked like they were each doing their own things. But they were actually weaving in feints and surprise attacks to create opportunities for each other, with each helping to maximize the other's performance. This was the consummate illustration of what triple wielding truly meant. Crash. Having completely lost its orientation, Gigant Lord finally crumpled to its knees. The fight was already desi. Gigant Lord. Hurry up and fucking transform already. What? Ulfred's shout made Ryan pause briefly in surprise. Alex, seemingly having sensed the change, ran back a distance from the giant. Ruah. As the monster roared at the top of its lungs, its wounds turned bright red. And it was not the color of blood. So, this is its true form. Melnay, this isn't the time to be calmly appreciating the sight. It's actually getting pretty hot here. It's lost its sense of hearing too, so I doubt this is in reaction to that man's order. The monster must have felt that its life was in danger, and its instincts kicked in. Crimson flames burst from all of the giant's wounds, burning as hot as magma. The heat was so fierce that it was even affecting the wall of ice Melfina had created. When the monster stood back up, it was clear that the transformation had somehow healed the damage it had suffered. Ha ha ha. You think it would be ranked S just for being tough and strong? This is Gigant Lord's true power. Now not even your bones will remain. Get her, Gigant Furnace Lord. Incinerate them with your hellish Florida. Well, it's not like this changes anything. And this creature's flames are weaker than Ifilne's, to be honest. With a synchronized breath, Ryan and Alex resumed their assault. It didn't matter that the monster's attacks had powered up, as it was speed that it was lacking. It hadn't been able to land any attacks on its 2 assailants before, and was still unable to do so now. In other words, it was one-sidedly taking a beating yet again. Even more unfortunately for it, Ryan and Alex were used to facing Ephile's flames and had been taught how to handle them. To sum it up, well, the situation simply played out the same way as before. Boom. What the fuck are you doing, Gigant Furnace Lord? You can't just fall over. Ulfred screamed. Easy for you to say, but do you have any idea how tough it is being without all 5 of your senses? Melfina replied wryly. And looks like the flames are dying down too. Arranged by. Soon enough, all of the giant's flames had disappeared. This time, it looked well and truly defeated. How could this happen? How could the mixed monster order? But we're Tricenian. We can't lose. Ulfred sank to the ground, clearly having lost the will to fight. Every so often, he would mumble, "How can I explain this to Tristan Sama?" in a voice filled with despair. Wonderful job. You did well, Melfina said to Ryan. The girl laughed bashfully. You think Kel Ni will acknowledge me now? Of course he will. Ryan leapt into Melfina's arms and closed her eyes blissfully as the goddess patted her head. Apparently, the younger girl had yet to realize how much these mannerisms of hers contributed to everyone treating her like a child. Ryan Sama appears to have won her battle without any mishaps. She sure has grown strong in such a short time. Both Ephil and I had been keeping an eye on our little hero's fight with Farsight. Several times, I felt a powerful compulsion to lend a helping hand, but I managed to control myself. Your big brother has faith in you, Ryan. Still, to think she's already become capable of defeating a rank S monster on her own. Now we've got to acknowledge her as a full member of the party and hold back on treating her like a child. Well, we'll try our best, anyway. Can't promise much. Is it safe to say that the enemy has been annihilated? I mean, I don't sense any EFIL. What? My danger detection suddenly went off like an explosion inside my head. Before I even had time to think about it, I'd instinctively reformed part of the tower into a shield and fortified our defenses against the direction the warning was coming from. That very moment, some sort of magic attack clashed into my shield, and the two cancelled each other out. My shield was quite literally blasted to dust. What? I thought I'd finished you off, but you're not dead. Shoot first and ask questions later, is it? That was quite the greeting. 5 people were floating in the air, high off the ground, around the same height as our tower. Damn, they must have been hiding themselves using a spell. I don't have magic detection, and Sarah's out in the field. The one who had spoken was a man with eerily perfect facial features, and the others were all women wearing light armor with a questionable amount of exposure. Master, Ephil murmured as she drew her bow. Oh, look, it's my lucky day. The man suddenly broke out into a little jig. Is it just me, or are his appearance and mannerisms really at odds with each other? Hee hee. I've seen quite a few elves before, but you're the very best. I've taken a liking to you at first sight. Hey, dude. Oh, yes, you I like. I like you a lot, the man gushed, completely ignoring me. I was feeling a bit annoyed, but then he said something even more reprehensible. All right, then. You'll be my slave. No, thanks. Wait, what? You haven't fallen for my looks? Seriously? This guy is not acting. He actually seems surprised from the very bottom of his heart. And it looks like Ephil is tired of his shit. Hold on a minute, this guy. What an odd one you are. What's so good about that background character beside you anyway? But don't worry. I'll save you. He puffed out his chest and brought one hand up to his chin, striking a pretentious pose. Now you shall fall F. With a whoosh, the radiance lance that I'd shot grazed past the man's cheek. Come on, what was that for? You were just about to cast Charm Eye on Ephil, weren't you? According to Analyze Eye, this man possessed the unique skill Charm Eye, which he had been preparing to use on my companion. The nerve of this fucking guy. As I said, so what? What, you think you can fight me? He replied with a belittling snort. I was one to laugh most things off, but this was something even I couldn't ignore. Although trite, I had to say what needed to be said. Don't you dare lay a hand on my woman. The man's jaw dropped open in an exaggerated expression of surprise. Oh, ook. It's my first time hearing someone say something so cheesy in real life. Aren't you mortified? Hey, are you mortified? Ephil, head for the wall. I'll be deconstructing this arrow tower in a moment. Hello. You ignoring me now? Understood, master. Take care of yourself. Ephil promptly disappeared, having activated covert action. I assumed that she was immediately making her way down to the ground. What? Where did Ephil-chan go? Just, shut up already, you. No, you shut up. I don't have business with you, it's Ephil-ch. Shut up. With a swing of my right hand, the man and his companions were blown away by a powerful gust of wind, sending them in the general direction of Trison. As my anger had completely boiled over, even I wasn't sure how far they had gone. At the very least, it was better than fighting them close to the village. We couldn't very well have casualties, not after coming this far. The group had been using the green magic spell Fly to hover. This was a spell that enabled someone to move as if they had wings, but those who did not also possess the flight skill were easily susceptible to sudden winds not under their control. As such, all I'd had to do was direct a blast of wind powerful enough to blow a dragon away against the intruders. Fly. Sonic acceleration. I cast the same spell that my opponents were using on myself, then boosted my speed on top of it. After all, I had to catch up to them. With a light tap, I leapt off of the tower, then turned to dismantle it while floating in midair. Adamantite Rampart lost its form and became converted into something more useful for the immediate situation. Obsidian Edge, 4, complete. The material that had composed the arrow tower was compressed into 4 swords the length of my body. I further buffed each of them with additional spells. There they are. With Farsight, I managed to locate my opponents, who were still in the middle of being blown away. Thanks to there being 2 people with wings in my party. I had already mastered the usage of Fly long ago without picking up the flight skill myself, so I could close the distance in the blink of an eye. I sped through the empty sky so fast that I left sonic booms in my wake. Considering how high up I was, I didn't have to worry about affecting anything on the ground, so I rushed forward at top speed, charged up with the exhilaration of not having to hold back. Hey, there. The man had managed to regain his balance first and was just about to regain full control of himself. The same could not be said for his subordinates. I stopped abruptly in front of the leader to let him take the full brunt of my shockwave, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. A closer look revealed that he had surrounded himself with some sort of barrier. Phew, you're pretty good for a background character, him? Who the fuck you calling a background character? How rude. You know how many times I've been praised by my female companions for my wonderful smile while in battle? Alright, you did surprise me a little, making such a fool of the protagonist of this story. But I sure am glad I asked Tristan for the opportunity to come here. It must be fate that's brought Ephil-chan to me. Protagonist, huh? You fancy yourself the main character of a novel or something? Ahahaha, I'm not fancying myself one, I am one. Not that I expect a mere peon like you to understand it. You're a transmigrator, aren't you? What? How'd you know? I knew it. Him coming from the modern world explains his unnatural word choices and strange behavior. Well, no matter. Since I'm generous and have a big heart, I'll introduce myself. I am Clive Terraz, 18Y, male, human, green mage. Level 91. Title: General of the Magic Knight Order. HP 847-800. MP 2050-2400. Strength 234. Endurance 263. Agility 355. Magic 802. Luck 488. Skills: Charm I. Unique skill: Green Magic. Rank S. Analyze I. Rank A. Magic Detection. Rank A. Concealment. Rank A. Nerves of Steel. Rank A. Spirit. Rank S. Conversation. Rank B. Storage. Rank B. Double growth rate, double skill point. General Clive Terraz of the Tricenian Magic Knight Order, right? If he's a green mage, then he'll be using either wind or earth magic, or maybe both. That first preemptive strike was likely wind magic. The other skills he possesses also tend towards a flexible fighting style. How did you know? Well, I'm famous, so I guess it's not too surprising. Did he not even consider the possibility that I peeked at his status screen simply because he's got concealment at rank A? And what's more, you changed your appearance during your transmigration, didn't you? Whatever could you be talking about? Huh. As if an unnaturally perfect face like that comes along by chance. Dude, you've taken it so far that it looks creepy instead. If Tuya is the ultimate example of a natural hunk, you're the ultimate example of a plastic surgery project. Are you a transmigrator too? All this is common knowledge. More importantly, are you sure about being so laid back? You're already within my attack range. While speaking, I shot 3 obsidian edges at Clive at such incredible speed that they seemed guaranteed to open 3 huge holes in his body. However, they were stopped effortlessly by the barrier surrounding him, giving off a grinding noise and showers of sparks at the points of contact. Well, that was quite sudden. You started it. But it's useless, of course. My helix barrier can block everything, be it physical or magical. Normally, it completely shreds whatever it comes into contact with, though. Looks like those swords of yours are pretty tough. I had of course checked out Clive's barrier while taking a look at his status a few moments before. As it turned out, the shield was made up of wind rotating rapidly in a helical shape so as to redirect the force of any incoming attacks. He wasn't lying when he said that anything coming into contact with it would normally be shredded to ribbons. Then how about this? Where'd you g, aha. Above. I had flown around him in a split second and plunged the last obsidian edge in my hand straight downwards. As I said, it's useless. Helix barrier protects me from every angle. It has no blind spots. Unfortunately, he was right. My sword was stopped by the barrier a second time. I kept up the assault for a while longer but to no avail. Continuing at this point would just be wasting magic. Return. All the obsidian edges flew back to my side, floating motionlessly in midair. He's having no trouble keeping up with my speed. Is he using magic detection to track the traces of my magic? His character aside, it looks like he actually has a good amount of battle experience under his belt. Woo, what a face. Have you suddenly gone mad? Oh, nah, it's just that I haven't felt this excited in a while. This is getting fun, isn't it? I'm grinning again, aren't I? That's rather disgusting. Please die quickly. Danger detection suddenly reacted to threats coming from several directions at once. Thanks to parallel processing, I identified each incoming attack simultaneously and precisely intercepted them with a cast of windshot. Nice going. But while we've been doing this, my little kitties have finally returned. True enough, Clive's 4 companions were once again hovering behind him. These are my favorites. They're quite strong. They're all charmed? You make for a pretty shitty protagonist, you know that? The women's statuses were all concealed, but not at a high enough rank to be effective against my rank S Analyze I. Every last one of them had charmed listed in the passive effects field. Oh, PSHH, there are all sorts of protagonists nowadays. And I'm sure these kitties love it. After all, they have the honor of serving such a stunningly handsome hunk. What an egotistical delusion. A delusion? Not at all. I'm sure Ifil Chan will also come to understand everything great about me. Especially once we get into bed together. Right. Looks like I'll have to properly kill you off. I wish you wouldn't say things like that with such an eerie smile on your face, you know? It seriously gives me goosebumps. But you do look composed. You realize it's now 5 against 1, right? As they say, strength in numbers and all that. Thanks for the concern, but I'm probably not as outnumbered as you think. An explosion went off in the distance, after which a crimson sparkle tore through the inky night, making straight for Clive. What? My opponent looked slightly flustered, but magic detection had apparently served him well. He managed to dodge the attack by a hair's breadth, but it still collided with his barrier. The attack was Efile's Blaze Arrow, a move she had devised that was focused on penetration. And sure enough, it successfully pierced Clive's shield and destroyed it. Shit, my helix bar. You really shouldn't look away during a fight. WH. 4 of the golems I had originally stationed around the forest had suddenly appeared around me. These were the latest and newest models, jointly developed by Sarah and me. For their appearance, we had used Gerard's armor as a reference and made it look even fancier. In short, they appeared to be knights. Knights who were now hovering in the air, each with an obsidian edge of their own in hand. What was that about strength and numbers again?